second cushion foundation test review video for you guys. So I own about 30 to 35 cushion foundations. I actually don't know how many. I guess I will find out when I do this video, but I'm going to be reviewing them. I'm going to be testing them out on my skin for you guys, all in this video. Now, just as some disclaimers before I start this video, obviously I don't own every single cushion foundation created by mankind. I feel like I have a pretty good range as far as cushion foundations that are popular, so I will be showing those. Also, my skin type, I am about an NC 20 to 25 in MAC foundation shades, just depending on the time of year. I also have a dry skin type. I usually wear a shade 23 in Korean foundations. As far as my preferences go, I'd say I go for about a semi-matte type of look. So I feel like I'm pretty much like everyone else. I like it to have good coverage, to cover up blemishes or imperfections on my skin. I like the finish to be somewhat natural looking. I don't like overly glossy, but I don't like overly matte. I also like it to match my skin well, and I like it to last all day, so just to kind of give you a frame of reference as to how I'm kind of judging these foundations. Now this is going to be a long video, so grab a snack or something, and let's just jump into it because I want to get into this. So I kind of sorted the cushion foundations out by brand if I had more than one. So first we're going to start off with April Skin Cushion Foundations because I feel like these are pretty notorious ones on the internet. I also have full reviews of each of these, so if you want more information, definitely go check them out. So first I'm going to try the April Skin Magic Snow Cushion in the black version and the white version. So I'll be doing the black on my right side and the white on my left side. Now the black one that I'm going to be putting on my skin right now is meant to be a long-lasting cushion. It's also meant to have a, I wouldn't say matte, but it's supposed to be more matte than the white version. These April Skin cushion foundations are known for their coverage and also their moisture content. Personally for me, I'm not a huge fan of these. If you watched my full review of these, I feel like they're very heavy on my skin and I tend to kind of shy away from cushion foundations or foundations in general that feel really heavy. If you do have these, you want to be very light-handed and not apply too much. So as you can see the difference, it's very mask-like, which is something that I don't usually go for. So that is the black version on my right side. Now going for the white April Skin Magic Snow Cushion on the left side of my skin, this is meant to be the more moisturizing of the two. Again, it's the same concept. This is supposed to be a fairly high coverage cushion foundation. So that's what these cushion foundations look like on my skin. Overall, I just find that these sink into my pores, emphasizing throughout the day. They're not great if you have oily skin. Even on my dry skin, they feel really oily and heavy. Also, if you touch them, they do transfer, so if it gets on your hands, it could possibly get on your clothes or anything like that. So those are the Magic Snow Cushions. Also, just so you guys know that these are all going on equal canvases, I am using a makeup wipe to remove the cushion foundation from my skin. I'm also using a clean towel, which is heavily stained, so it doesn't look clean, but it is clean, to dab off any excess moisture. So next I am moving on to one of the newer April Skin Cushion Foundations. This is the April Skin Magic Snow Fixing Foundation. So this cushion was created to kind of fix any of the issues that the original cushions of April Skin had. It also has the filter type of netting on the cushion foundation itself, so that's meant to disperse the cushion foundation more evenly on the skin. Now for some reason, even though I do have shade 23 in this cushion foundation, this one is a lot more cool tone compared to the original April Skin cushion foundations. Not really sure why that is, but that's just kind of how it is. Now I do find that this is a bit more matte than the original cushion foundations from April Skin. However, I'm just still not a big fan of the heavier formula that these April Skin cushions tend to have. I would say that this is probably my favorite out of the three of them, but again, I just don't highly recommend these. Next, I'm going to be applying the Etude AirFit cushion to my skin. Now, I had tested this cushion out quite some time ago, and I remember that I just didn't like how this never set on my skin. It felt pretty greasy all day, and so I can't stand when my hair is sticking to my cushion foundation, when I feel like it's moving all over my skin. And so I did do a full review on this cushion foundations, which I will link all full reviews down below in case you're curious. And again, it's just oily, greasy, doesn't set, doesn't offer that much coverage, and it's just not, you know, you kind of get what you pay for in this sense. Now moving on to Innisfree cushions. So I do own 2 Innisfree cushions. I have the longwear cushion here and I have the Ampule Moisture cushion here. So first, let's go ahead and try the Ampule Moisture cushion on the right side of my skin. So this is a fairly new cushion that was released by Innisfree, and I find, number one, with Innisfree cushions, they run a lot lighter than a lot of other Korean brands. So this is shade 23, but to me this is comparable to shade 21 of most other brands. Innisfree cushions also have a very heavy herbal scent to it, so if you're not a big fan of scented anything, just keep that in mind because this scent is quite heavy. Now this cushion foundation I actually enjoyed a bit because it's a good moisturizing cushion without being overly oily or greasy looking. This doesn't offer a ton of coverage. It's actually quite light coverage, so that's the only thing I would fix. It also doesn't last for the whole day. I find that this lasts usually about 4 to 5 hours if I don't set it with any powder before I have to go back and touch it up. So next I'm going to try out the longwear cushion, and this is a cushion foundation that was one of the first cushion foundations that I had tried, and I actually enjoyed this quite a bit because it really is a long wearing cushion foundation. I love the finish of this guy, and when I wear this when it's like hot and humid and I'm sweating, I find it actually doesn't move and it still looks really nice. Now, if you do have dry skin like me, I would highly recommend you moisturize well before applying this onto your skin so it doesn't emphasize any dry patches, because if you don't do that, then you will experience some dry patches with this cushion foundation. But I would highly recommend this for people who have oily skin or who are looking for a cushion foundation to last in humid environments. So I thought this would be kind of fun to compare these two next to each other on my skin. So I'm going to be applying the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Cushion Foundation onto the right side of my face, and then I'm going to be applying the Maybelline Pure BB Mineral Cushion BB Fresh on the left side of my skin. When this first came out, I can only find the cool tones, so I would have actually preferred, obviously, to purchase a more neutral tone because it's a bit cool on my skin. But I actually thought this was a really great, I guess, Western brand that had come out with a cushion foundation. I like how this was luminous to the sense that it does look a bit glowy, but it doesn't look overly oily. This is kind of like the type of dew I like to rock when I'm looking to wear something more glowy. As you can see, it doesn't have amazing coverage, so it's not something for those of you guys who need something that is, you know, gonna cover a lot of pimples and things like that, but it's definitely a great option for those of you guys who are looking for something more natural. I also did find that this had pretty good lasting ability throughout the day as well. Next, I'm going to apply the Maybelline BB Cushion on my skin. The shade that I have is actually in shade 02, so it's the second shade. Now, this is actually shocked me because I actually really enjoyed this cushion foundation. I found that it was a very nice finish. It has pretty decent coverage considering it is a cushion foundation, and I did like that this tone seemed to match more a neutral tone instead of being overly brightening or overly yellow. Not a heavy finish whatsoever, and this would be good if you're looking for a little bit higher coverage, something that's neutral looking and that also has a little bit of a glow for those of you guys who want to try it but don't want to go overboard. Now for this next batch, I'm going to be using the Moonshot Microfit Cushion 301 on the right side of my skin, and then I'm going to be trying out the 3CE Fitting Cushion Foundation on the left side of my skin. So let's go ahead and start with the Moonshot Microfit Cushion. Again, it is in 301. And so this is a newer cushion that was released with the whole GD and Sundara Park type of promotion. So this is GD's cushion. I actually really like this cushion in the sense that I love the finish of this. It's a really nice finish. Again, it's not a super high coverage cushion foundation, but it's a really good kind of neutral middle ground type of cushion foundation. Again, I find this is a little bit brightening on my skin. However, with this one, I find it's not an overwhelmingly cool tone to it. It's just slight. This also wears really nicely throughout the day. It's a nice light feeling cushion foundation. And as you can see, it's just really pretty. And then next, I'm going to use the 3CE Fitting Cushion Foundation on the left side of my skin. So this is a cushion foundation that I have actually really enjoyed since I got it. I like the tone of this. It's a very neutral, almost on the side of yellow. This lasts all day, which is something else that I really appreciate. It does smell like baby powder, which is kind of the thing that I don't really like about this. But overall, this has been one of my favorite cushion foundations because I love the coverage of this. It has decent coverage as far as you can see, you know, my under eye bag there is pretty much concealed. It doesn't emphasize my pores, and I do feel like this would be an amazing cushion foundation again for those of you guys who are looking for slightly higher coverage, have oily skin, and you're looking for something that lasts throughout the day. So this one definitely been one of my favorites. Okay, so the next brand that I'm going to be trying out is the Face Shop, and so I just actually did a review on these three, but I'm gonna go ahead and still try them on for you guys. But again, if you want to see the full review, go ahead and check that out. So first, I'm going to apply the CC Long Lasting Cushion. In the Face Shop, I wear V203, so the darkest shade that they offer. So this is the long lasting cushion. So out of all three of these, this one is the one that sold out the fastest. It was the most popular and probably the one I would personally recommend the most. Now again, like I mentioned in the review of these, this is just not something that I was super impressed by. I find that for some reason the Face Shop, again like Innisfree, kind of has very inconsistent colors. This one, as you can see, is very cool toned on my skin. And I just don't like that all of three of these, actually all four of these, are pretty much different shades. So that's kind of something that I think is a little odd. Now this does last all day. I would prefer a little bit higher coverage because I feel like it doesn't offer the most. But overall, it's an okay cushion. Like I said, nothing spectacular, but if you want to pick up one of those out of the Disney collection, I would definitely recommend that one. So my next favorite, or the next one I'd recommend, I guess I wouldn't even say favorite, is the CC Cooling Cushion. Again, I wear the shade V203, and this one does have, like the name implies, a cooling effect when you apply it. However, I don't know if you guys can see, but it is a little bit more neutral toned than the one I have on the right side of my face. The coverage of this is okay, and again, this is just not a phenomenal cushion. I don't find anything particularly interesting about this cushion foundation in particular. It doesn't keep my skin super moisturized throughout the day. The finish of this one is actually a little bit better. For some reason, the long-lasting cushion I find is more dewy than this one, even though this is supposed to be the moisturizing version of all three. So next I'm going to try on these two. This is from the Face Shop, obviously, the BB Power Perfection Cushion from the Disney collection. And this is the CC Intense Cover Cushion. Both of them, again, are in V203. So on my right side, let's go ahead and apply the BB Power Perfection Cushion. Now this one really threw me for a loop because the tone of this is just totally off. I also find, meaning that it is really cool tone. You can almost see it's practically gray. Also, it's just kind of heavy on my skin, sinks into my pores, feels greasy on my skin. Not great for oily skin people. Even me with dry skin, I felt like this was just way too oily. Now this next one, the CC Intext Cover Cushion, is a fairly new cushion that the Face Shop came out with. Again, you can see color is totally different from this last one that I applied on my skin. And again, for some reason, the Face Shop has like random colors. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Face Shop cushions that I've tried so far. This one in particular is very similar to the Mickey one in the sense that it's very heavy feeling, feels cakey on my skin, it never fully sets, it transfers on to, like if you touch it, will transfer onto your clothes. and also it just looks very makeup-y. So now we're gonna move on to some Etude House cushions. Now Etude House, I actually usually like their cushions. I also appreciate that they offer more shades than most other brands. This one is the newest one that they came out with, which is the cream filter, and then this one is a fairly new-ish one, I guess, and this one is their real powder cushion foundation. So these both have the very like slim profiled cushion packaging, and again, both these I have full reviews on. So first on my right side, I'm going to apply the cream filter. This one really has a stick to it. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it kind of is supposed to go into the idea that this is like supposed to be a long lasting cushion. It's supposed to kind of adhere well to the skin. I have it in the shade Sand, by the way. And this is the type of cushion you kind of have to have fairly good skin to begin with to like, which is kind of why in my full review, I was kind of meh about it. I would say it's not a terrible cushion, but again, you kind of have to have pretty good conditioned skin because this is not a high coverage cushion. I like the finish of this actually quite a bit, and it lasts a fairly long time. So as you can see, it actually looks pretty on the skin, but if you have like pimples or dark under eye circles, you'd have to use an additional concealer and probably a little bit of powder with this. Now for the Real Powder Cushion Foundation, this one is designed as a cushion foundation for those of you with oily skin. Now in this one, I actually have the shade Honey Beige, which is a warm undertone, and again, one thing that I really appreciate about Etude House is that they do offer more shades. So this cushion foundation I actually think is pretty nice. It is probably best for obviously those of you guys who have oily skin. It lasts a fairly long time. I did find that it does wear off pimples fairly quickly, and also for my dry skin, this is just kind of hard to work with. So even though when I initially apply it, it looks really nice on my skin, it just kind of dries out my skin throughout the day. So the last Etude House cushion that I have is the Precious Mineral Any Cushion, and the shade that I wear in this is W24. And then on my left side, I'm going to be trying out the Misha Signature Essence Cushion Intense Cover Cushion Foundation on my left side. So this actually cushion from Etude House is the first cushion foundation that I had ever tried, and I actually really like this cushion foundation. I really like this cushion foundation because it's just a good overall cushion foundation. I feel like this would work well with all skin types. It works well on my dry skin. I feel like it would work well on oily skin people as well. It offers a fair amount of coverage without being too makeup-y feeling. So it's actually a very light feeling cushion foundation. All of these cushion foundations, by the way, from Etude House do have that like signature Etude House smell. So I definitely recommend this as a good starter cushion foundation. Like I said, it would pretty much work nicely on anyone's skin tone and skin type. And this next one is the Misha Signature Essence Cushion in Intense Cover, and I'm in the shade 23 like I am with most cushion foundations. Now this is a newer cushion foundation that Misha has launched that obviously is supposed to offer more coverage than some of their previous versions. Now I really like this intense cover because not only does it have nice coverage, but I also really like the finish of this. So because it does have that kind of like essence to it, it keeps my dry skin moisturized throughout the day, but it's a good cushion foundation that is moisturizing but doesn't look too oily on my skin. So I really appreciate that. Now the lasting ability of this is not amazing. I definitely recommend applying a little bit of powder over top of it to help it last a little bit longer throughout the day, but as you can see, the finish of it is actually quite nice. I also like to mention that both of these are pretty good at not sinking into your pores or emphasizing your pores, so if that's something that you're concerned with, these are definitely good options. Like I said, you probably have to set the Misha one just a little bit, but I really like it. So next I'm going to try two mochi type of cushions on my face. This one is from Choi Peel, I think that's how you pronounce it, and this is the H+ cushion or the healing cushion. And then on the right side of my skin, I'm going to try out the Dear Claire's Mochi BB Cushion Pack. Now, another reason why I'm trying these out next to each other is also because both of these have one shade available, so you either fit it or you don't. So first I'm going to apply the Mochi cushion on my skin, which by the way, I have to say I really appreciate this bit because I don't know if you guys are going to be able to tell, but this has a locking mechanism on the actual puff itself, so it keeps it from drying out and kind of keeps it nice and locked tight. So that's something really interesting that I've never seen actually in a cushion foundation, so I really like that feature. Now the finish of this is very satiny, I'd have to say, so it's a good in-betweener as far as not being too oily and not being too drying. Now for me, the coverage is okay. I don't think the coverage of this is fantastic, and as you can see, the color of this is a bit off on my skin. It's a little too light, a little bit too cool tone. I feel like this also doesn't last an extremely long time, and it lasts about 4 to 5 hours before kind of fading on my skin. What this really reminds me of actually is kind of like the Innisfree ampoule cushions. I really like the packaging of this, but I'm just very kind of turned off by the idea it only has one shade and that coverage isn't high, it doesn't really last all day, and it's okay. Now moving on to the Troy Peel cushion. This also has one shade to it, and as you can see, again, it's a little too light for my skin tone. The coverage of this is pretty similar to the Claire's one in the sense that it is not high coverage. I would say that it has about a 4 to 5 hour wear before you have to touch it up or, you know, apply more. One thing that I have to say that's nice about both of these is that they do feel fairly light on the skin. They don't sink into pores, and they are very natural looking as far as the finish goes. Okay, so next I'm gonna start trying on some Laneige cushions. So these ones are gonna be interesting because I have a couple different shades in 2 different formulas. So I will go ahead and try out first the Laneige BB Cushion Whitening in 21C and 23. So I will put the darker shade on my right side and the lighter shade on my left side. Also, I wanna note that all of these cushions from Laneige are their newer ones, so they do have the different type of cushion in them. All of them are the same. They have kind of like this quilted pattern in them, which is supposed to disperse the foundation more evenly onto your skin. So my experience with Laneige cushions have always been pretty positive. I like these because they are, again, kind of this type of cushions that are pretty much good for all different skin types. I don't find these overly drying. I don't find these overly brightening. With the whitening version, they definitely do have kind of like that brightening aspect to it, but it's definitely not on the gray side, which is sometimes a common issue that I find when cushions try to be kind of brightening or whitening. So as you can see, it still looks pretty nice on my skin. The finish of this is really nice. It is a little bit lower coverage. The Laneige cushion foundations, I haven't found one that is super high coverage, which is something that I think can definitely be improved upon. Then I'm going to be applying the 21C on my left side. These are fairly long-lasting cushions, so these will last you throughout the day. These usually start to wear off, I'd say, around the 7 or 8 hour mark on their own. Of course, if you put a little powder and use a primer, they will last a bit longer. So if you're looking for something that will last all day, has a decent amount of coverage, and that looks nice and natural on the skin, that doesn't look overly dewy, doesn't look overly matte, these are kind of a good option. I will say though, like I mentioned with this side, I do wish that these had higher coverage. So if you do have kind of problematic skin, I wouldn't necessarily recommend these, only because you would need a lot of additional concealer. So next I'm going to move on to another Laneige cushion. These are in the Laneige BB Cushion Pore Control version. So again, I'm going to be placing the darker shade on my right side. This is 23C Cool Sand, and then I'm going to be placing the lighter one on my left side, which is 21 Beige. Now I really like the Pore Control version of this because this one really lasts all day. I also like that it maintains its finish, so it has really nice oil control to it. so you won't find that it looks a lot more greasy as you wear it throughout the day. This works well on my dry skin, despite this being probably more designed for oily skin, so it doesn't emphasize any dry patches. And as you can see, the finish is really pretty and natural on this, which is something that I always kind of gravitate towards. It's kind of like a satiny, semi-matte type of finish. So next, moving on to the Lire shade, which is 21, which is going on my left side. You can see that obviously this is gonna look very similar, except that it's a different shade. Another thing that I have to mention about Laneige that I give them a lot of credit for is they do offer a lot more shades. So you'll be able to find a lot of different tones, undertones they offer. They offer deeper and lighter shades, kind of like middle ground as far as pricing goes. I would definitely recommend checking out some Laneige cushions. Also, it's easily accessible, so they offer Laneige in Target. So if you live in the States, it's a lot easier to get your hands on. So next I'm going to move into IOPE. Now IOPE is definitely one of the first producers of cushion foundations. I think they were actually the first company to come out with cushion foundations. So they are kind of like the cushion staple. So I am going to be trying out two different formulas from IOPE. I have the normal Air Cushion XP in N23, and then I also have the matte Air Cushion XP in M23. So I have matte beige, and I believe this stands for natural beige. So first I'm gonna start off with the matte version on the right side of my skin. So this is definitely a cushion I'd recommend for those of you guys who have oily skin. The coverage of this is actually really nice. I find that the coverage of this is sufficient enough to cover up any imperfections that I have on my skin and make my skin look nice. So if I were just to apply this on my skin, I would definitely feel comfortable kind of leaving the house. I love the finish of it, and it stays like this throughout the day, so again, it has really great oil control. Now moving on to the original XP, or the Air Cushion XP, this I did a full review on, and I just did not care for this, only because it's a really wet formula. So it is super glossy, and it is super kind of greasy looking. And because it already starts off looking very glossy and dewy, by the end of the day, you just kind of look like an oil slick. So even on my dry skin, it just was kind of like an undesirable look. I just felt like I needed powder all day. Never really set, and it also is really kind of sticky. So, you know, if you get hair in it, it'll move around, it'll leave little marks if you touch your skin. So I don't know if you guys can really see how wet that looks. I mean, it definitely looks wet. Alright guys, so we are on the last round of testing out cushion foundations. So next I'm going to be trying on the Vanilla Co. Radiant CC Cushion in BP15 on the right side of my face, and then I'm going to use the Dior Dream Skin Perfect Skin Cushion in 010 on the left side. I don't know why I did this at the time when I picked this up last time I was in Korea, or when I was in Korea, but I bought the BP15 when I really should have bought the BE20. BP15 is the pink-based version of the CC cream, and the BE20 is actually the more neutral yellow-based version, so I don't know what I was thinking. As far as a CC cushion goes, I actually really like this one from Vanilla Co. Again, this is either something you use if your skin is in good condition, or if you're planning on using concealer on top of it, because the coverage of this is quite low, but I do like how light this is on my skin. The coverage is minimal, like I just mentioned. This has pretty good lasting power throughout the day. I would say about the 6 or 7 hour mark is kind of when I notice it starting to come off my skin. And just in general, I like how the finish of this looks. It's quite natural and doesn't have like an overwhelming scent to it. So if that's something that kind of concerns you as far as cushion foundations go, so you can see it has like a nice radiant effect like the name implies. So next I'm going to apply the Dior Dream Skin Perfect Skin Cushion to my left side of my face. Now again, I have a full review on this, and I kind of discussed in that review some of my qualms with this cushion. Mainly, it just is not It's obviously not a foundation product. They kind of market this as like a skin perfector. So in my head, a skin perfector is a foundation, or it's used as a base. Now you can definitely apply foundation on top of this, which is what I'd recommend, or something additionally on top of this, but this is actually more supposed to be like skincare. So I was kind of intrigued by that because that definitely wasn't emphasized to me when I was purchasing this product, and it's definitely not apparent in a lot of their marketing ads. So as you can see, the coverage of this is very, very minimal. It's didn't offer a lot of shades, which I was surprised from Dior, since it is, you know, Dior is something that is internationally well known and, you know, should have more shades, I personally feel like. Wears off pretty quickly. This is pricey for what you get, so I definitely wouldn't recommend this, but I definitely want to throw it in this cushion video so you guys can kind of see how it compares against some of the other cushion foundations. I'm going to be applying the Amore Pacific Color Control Cushion Compact on the right side of my skin. The shade that I have is in 204, which is tan gold. And then I'm going to apply the Hera UV Mist Cushion Ultra Moisture on the left side of my face, and the shade that I have is in shade 23. So first we will go for the Amore Pacific cushion, which I have a review on. One thing that I really like about this cushion is its shade and their shade ranges. So if you do have a bit darker skin or your complexion is a bit tan, you can find a cushion in this range that matches. Now this has a very heavy fragrance to it, so if fragrances bother you, keep that in mind. I really like this cushion foundation just in general because it looks very natural, feels very light on my skin, has great coverage. The tone of the foundation matches my complexion really nicely. As you can see, the finish is just beautiful on this, and this is the type of cushion that is kind of like your skin but better. So I would definitely say people who have problematic skin could wear this. People who have, you know, problems with discoloration could definitely wear this and feel like they're getting sufficient coverage with this cushion foundation without feeling like you're wearing a cakey, you know, face full of makeup. So I don't know if you guys can see, but it just is a very, very beautiful cushion foundation. So I definitely really like the Amore Pacific Color Control Cushion Compact. Now moving on to the Hera UV Mist Cushion in Ultra Moisture. I don't think I've ever talked about this on my channel, but this is a very, very popular cushion in Korea. This came out a couple years ago actually at this point, and it's something that I again recommend to a lot of people because this is just a beautiful, beautiful cushion. Now I really like that this has the moisturizing properties to it because it does keep my skin nice and moisturized throughout the day. I don't get dry patches with this cushion foundation, but one thing that I really like about this cushion foundation, despite it being a moisturizing type of product, it doesn't look oily and it doesn't look greasy. So it's kind of like the perfect medium for my skin. It kind of addresses all of the things that I look for when I look at cushion foundations. So as you can see, the tone of this is also a fairly nice match. It's a little bit more brightening than the Amore Pacific one, but it has a very natural finish. It feels really light on my skin. It's a semi-matte, so it has a beautiful satiny type of look to it. Alright you guys, so we are on to our final two cushion foundations, and I am going to be applying the Lancome Blanc Expert Cushion Compact and High Coverage on the left side of my face, and then I'm going to apply the YSL Le Cushion Encre de Peau Fusion Ink Cushion Foundation to the right side of my face. So in the YSL Cushion Foundation, I am a shade 40, which right now might be a tad bit tan for my complexion, but this is actually one of those cushion foundations that I just adored from the second I applied this on my skin, which I also have first impressions on this, and it's just, I mean, gorgeous. The finish of this is so nice. It's again one of the satin type of finishes, so it has a bit of a healthy glow without looking too overwhelming. I like the coverage of this. It just kind of perfects all of the areas that you need perfected without looking very makeup-y. It kind of just looks like you have nothing on your skin, like you just have beautiful skin to begin with. One thing that's kind of questionable about this is the scent. To me, for some reason, it smells kind of grassy, which is kind of odd. Also, this comes in a few different shades, which you kind of would expect with like an international brand or a brand that is more high-end. This is unfortunately quite expensive, which I usually save this cushion foundation for like really nice events, or you know, when I'm kind of trying to look a little bit nicer than normal. This is a cushion that I do save, and it didn't come with a refill, which was unfortunate as well, but this does a really nice job staying on the skin throughout the day. It doesn't sink into my pores. It does really well on my dry skin, but I would definitely say that this would be great for those of you guys who have oily skin as well. So next I'm going to move on to the Lancome Blanc Expert Cushion Compact High Coverage. The shade that I have is O-03. Now this is one of those netted cushion foundations, if you can see. I like this cushion a lot because it does offer a great amount of coverage, again, without feeling too cakey or heavy. This does need to be set with a teeny tiny bit of powder, and then I just absolutely love this as well once I do that. Now for those of you guys who are looking for something that will last throughout the day, I would definitely recommend this. It's kind of the same thing with the YSL cushion. If you do have oily skin, I would say maybe a little bit of powder would help, because even me, with dry skin, I like to put a little bit of powder on top of this, but this has a beautiful natural finish to it. So this, in my head, like these type of finishes along with the Amore Pacific and the Hera cushion that I just applied to my skin, these are like the dewy type of looks that I like to go for. So these are the cushions that I consider having that nice glow to them without being overwhelmingly oily or slick or sticky or tacky or anything like that. So as you can see, actually pretty much both sides of my face look very similar. Wow, alright you guys, I can't believe I finally did that. So I've been meaning to make this video for quite some time now, just kind of a comprehensive cushion foundation video for those of you guys who are looking to get more information on some of these, or you want a comparison of, you know, pretty much all of these together put in one video. So I hope this was helpful. Please give me a big like, because it would really make me happy. And let me know in the comment section down below if you guys like these beauty battle breakdowns. I would love to hear your feedback and what you guys think. And yeah, so I hope you guys are happy and healthy. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, share with your friends and family, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!